The hospital hallway smelled faintly of antiseptic and overbrewed coffee. I remembered noticing that detail because it gave me something neutral to hold on to. 2 days earlier, I had signed preliminary consent forms to begin compatibility testing. His mother had been declining for months. The dialysis was exhausting her. When he asked if I would consider being tested, he didn't look me in the eye. "I just need to know if you'd try," he said. I told him yes. Not because our marriage was perfect. It wasn't. We had grown careful around each other, like people walking across thin ice. But she had once made me soup when I had the flu. She had folded towels in my house without asking. I believed loyalty still meant something. The testing moved quickly. Blood draws, psychological evaluation, questions about whether I felt pressured. I said no. At the time, I believed that. 2 days later, he asked me to meet him at the hospital cafe after another round of labs. He wasn't alone. She stood beside him like a declaration, younger, perfectly composed. An engagement ring caught the fluorescent light, not subtle, not apologetic. He slid a manila envelope across the table. "I think it's better if we handle everything cleanly," he said. His tone was managerial. "Efficient. Divorce papers." The word didn't land all at once. It drifted down slowly, like ash. I looked at her hand. The ring wasn't extravagant, but it was deliberate. She didn't smile. She didn't need to. The message was structural. "You were temporary. You agreed to help my mother," he continued. "That doesn't have to change." It took me a moment to understand the architecture of what he was building. He wanted the kidney, not the marriage. I studied his face. No trembling, no visible guilt, just urgency. "She's running out of time," he added. The humiliation wasn't loud. It was administrative, a transaction in a public space. I expected myself to cry. Instead, I felt something cooler, a kind of internal recalibration. I realized that in his version of the future, I would donate an organ and then quietly exit. The transplant coordinator appeared at the edge of our table. "They're ready for you in consultation room 3, she said gently. We stood together, the three of us, like an unfortunate procession. Inside the consultation room, the air felt denser. The doctor entered with a tablet in hand. She nodded at me first. "Mrs. Hale," she said, "before we proceed, I need to clarify a few updates." My husband shifted impatiently. "We're on a timeline," he said. The doctor's expression didn't change. "Yes," she replied, "which is why this is important." She sat across from me, not him. "During your psychological evaluation," she continued, "you were asked whether you felt any external pressure to donate." I remembered the question, the quiet office, the way I had hesitated before answering. "You indicated that you were unsure about the stability of your domestic situation." My husband inhaled sharply. "What does that have to do with medical compatibility?" The doctor turned to him, calm. "Everything. Living organ donation requires voluntary, uncoerced consent. The Transplant Ethics Board reviews not only medical compatibility but relational stability. We have since been informed of pending divorce proceedings." Silence. I hadn't informed them. "He had filed that morning." The doctor continued, voice even. "Under these circumstances, the board has placed a temporary hold on surgical approval. We cannot proceed while there is evidence of coercion, instability, or potential psychological harm." His mistress shifted beside him. The confidence that had framed her posture began to soften. "This is ridiculous," he said. She already agreed. The doctor's tone remained steady. "Agreement must be ongoing and freely given. It can be withdrawn at any time. And it must not occur in proximity to relational rupture." Relational rupture. The phrase felt clinical and exact. "So what are you saying?" he demanded. "I'm saying," she replied, "that until legal matters are resolved and Mrs. Hale undergoes a secondary evaluation confirming autonomous consent, the transplant cannot move forward. The word cannot hang in the air longer than it needed to." His mother's dialysis schedule. Her deteriorating numbers. I knew the stakes. He turned to me then, really looking for the first time that afternoon. "Don't do this," he said, low enough that it almost sounded private. I felt something settle inside me. Not anger, not revenge. Clarity. "I haven't done anything," I said quietly. The doctor spoke again, unmistakable authority in her voice. "Mrs. Hale, you are under no obligation. Your medical information and psychological disclosures are confidential. If you choose not to proceed, we will support that decision fully." Support. A word I hadn't felt in months. He ran a hand through his hair. For the first time, his control fractured. The situation had slipped beyond personal negotiation into institutional boundary. His mistress looked at me, and in her eyes I saw calculation shifting into uncertainty. This wasn't the script she'd anticipated. "Can we speak alone?" he asked me. The doctor shook her head gently. "All discussions regarding consent occur in a protected setting, concrete, unmistakable." I understood then that the one thing he could not extract through guilt or efficiency was my body. I folded the divorce papers once and placed them back in the envelope. "I need time," I said. It wasn't dramatic, it was factual. He opened his mouth to argue, then stopped. Because there was no mechanism left for him to force acceleration. The meeting ended without ceremony. In the hallway he tried again. "You know she won't make it long like this." The statement was heavy, deliberate. "I know," I said. He waited for more. There wasn't more. I walked past them, not fast, not slow, just steady. The sound of my steps echoed against tile. In the parking lot, I sat inside my car and let the silence stretch. My hands trembled only slightly. The divorce papers lay on the passenger seat, still sealed in their envelope. I realized something difficult and clean at the same time. Agreeing to donate had once felt like proof of love. Now it felt like proof of my own value, that I was capable of generosity without being owned by it. I did not feel victorious. His mother was still sick. The marriage was still over. Nothing about this was triumphant. But the decision had shifted back into my hands. No spectacle, no revenge, just consent. And for the first time in a long while, that felt like enough.